Give her an applause, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the applause as well. I would like to ask you for a favor. Would you do something for me? Can you think about a cow? I need my visuals for this, sorry. But keep on working on the image of a cow. You know, a cow is something that we're all familiar with. We've all seen one, maybe talked to one, touched one, or thought about one. I just want a quick mental picture. You got one? All right. Now you probably got a lot of different mental pictures. I want to see which one of you thought about a white cow, black dots, a lot of hands. Anyone had a different color? Brown cow, also pretty much. Any chocolate lovers in the room? Yes, I knew that was going to happen. Well, I come from Argentina and we are meat lovers. And for me, a cow looks like this. Well, this was pretty easy. Now I have something more challenging for you. I want you to picture a mechanical engineer. I'm going to give you some more seconds for this. A mechanical engineer, we might have seen one, we might have talked to one, probably not touched one or dreamt about one. Now, I want to see your hands if you thought about Formula One, a pit stop. I want to see hands up if you thought about a man fixing the engine of a car. That's a good one. I want to see your hands if you think it was a guy in a hoodie with a cap. And I want to see some more hands if you thought it looked like someone like me. I like that a lot. Now, if you raise your hands for me, because you had a mental picture or because you anticipated the point I was going to make, thank you very much. If you didn't raise your hands for me, it's also okay. I get that a lot. So I am a mechanical engineer, but I wasn't born as one. So I didn't get a screwdriver as a pacifier. I did play with Barbies. And I was the third kid, that's me, of a middle-aged family. That's me at age 3, getting certified with the umbrella to come to the Netherlands at age 28. And that's me during my first day of school. Now, my face doesn't show it that much. I was a little bit uncomfortable with the picture, but I did have a lot of expectations about my first day of school. I was very excited. My mom and my dad were there for me. Unfortunately, that night, something very sad happened, which is that my mom suddenly passed away. It was unexpected. There was a lot of grief in my family, but I didn't go back to school in 3 weeks. And when I did, I find something very different. My expectations and my vision of the world was completely different. I wasn't that excited anymore. To my peers, I suddenly became the kid who didn't have a mom. And I couldn't help thinking that teachers and everyone around me was feeling sorry for me. This vision that you might have about the world might actually be something good or something bad. I wasn't discouraged about seeing that I found a different reality or that the world saw me as something different. I actually thought that I had a disadvantage, that I had to compensate. So I started school in a different way, but soon I realized that by having achievements at school, I made my family happy. I brought joy to an environment that wasn't that joyful anymore. And that my peers also started to see me not as the kid who didn't have a mom, but as somebody that could do cool things or that they could look up to. Luckily for me, the teachers, the people around me, realized that this was something that I needed, that achievement was motivating me. So they provided me with tools, and they really helped me out. At age 6, I saw myself losing the biggest role model of all. But I found people around me that helped me out and that fitted me with the things that I needed. And I kept on having this attitude also in secondary school and as I matured. And I realized that as I grew up, this curiosity and this sense of achievement, of joy in the studies that you were doing and the things that you were doing actually gave me choices. So by the time I finished secondary school, I had developed an interest in art, literature, math, physics. I could really do a lot of things. So when it was time to choose my career, I had a lot of different options. So I went to the Faculty of Engineering as one of all the options that I evaluated because I really did not know what an engineer was, what an engineer could do. So I walked into this room full of future students and 2 professors. And both of them were talking with a lot of enthusiasm about their research, about thermodynamics, about fluid dynamics, things I really couldn't understand at all. So I was very confused. I didn't really get it, and I didn't think that they were talking to me. And this was until a woman entered the room, and this was just coincidental. So she walked into the room, she interrupted the talk for a little bit, asked a question, and she left. And one of these professors, before he resumed the talk, he said, "That woman is an amazing woman. You know, she's a mechanical engineer. She's driving a car, something breaks, she suddenly stops, open the engine hood, fix it, and continue." You know, and as a mechanical engineer, you end up learning that this is just an image that we have, and there is nothing close to the truth. But as many people were laughing at the joke, and some others were thinking, suddenly something clicked. So a talk that they were having about a fireball of applied science where engineers are superheroes and can change the reality confronted to something tangible, something that I could see, and something that people might find as a really useful person and as a really wonderful person, made me think that I could also do it. And this image is what I also had in mind, and it really changed the way I saw the challenge towards science. So I went home and I told my dad, "Dad, I'm going to be an amazing woman." And I signed myself into mechanical engineering. And this is what he thought. He told me, "Sweetie, are you sure that you want to fix car engines for the rest of your life?" And you can imagine that 20 years ago that was very confusing. But I did sign in. And when I started, I was the only woman in my class. A few years later, another girl also came in. Mechanical engineering was actually something very popular for guys. And I realized that it pretty much looked like the first day of first grade coming 3 weeks later. If you enter an environment that is really a new environment, you will face up a lot of challenges, and you may feel that you have disadvantages. But when you made your choice, you have to stick to it and you have to go for it. So I realized that it was very different, but it required a lot of persistence. Now, not on primary school, and also not when I started engineering, I thought I was a genius or I thought I had particular tools. I just simply set a goal, and with perseverance and persistence, I stick to it. So it was tough. It was a very difficult environment, but I succeeded. I adjusted, and I had a lot of help from peers, teachers, and a lot of people that helped me, and I graduated top 3 in my class. I had much more choices than I had before. I could choose to work for the industry. Later on, I pursued a master in material science. After that, I went for a PhD in biomedical engineering. After this, I questioned whether I wanted to stay in academia or I wanted to do different things. And finally, I even dared to begin with my own startup. So it's not that much about having clear what your path is going to be. It's just about seeing yourself being able to do it. After becoming a mechanical engineer, I didn't feel like an amazing woman in the end, so my picture was a little bit different, but the amazing feeling came when I realized the amount of things that I was able to do, the things that I could achieve, the challenges that I could overcome, and the amazing men and women that I found on the way that helped me to figure out what I wanted to do, to strengthen those things that I couldn't do by myself, and to keep on encouraging me to make choices that were out of my comfort zone. Now the question is, why are there so few women in science and technology? And in my experience, I think a lot comes from your own personal choice, right? The things that we don't like doing. So you have to put a little bit about yourself. And in my opinion, personal drivers and motivation is the starting point. You need to have a passion, or you need to have curiosity, and you need to have the willingness to do something like this. But also a lot of perseverance and sacrifice once you've did it. Once you want to do it, I've seen a lot of women dropping out of university because it just wasn't for them, or because they had a discouraging experience. You have to have endurance. You need to go for what you're set up to do. And also professional awareness. It's sometimes you find inspiration in others, right? But engineering is a very competitive environment, and trying to compete with others is sometimes a wrong conception. Learning from others, or finding what other people can do good and try to use that as an inspiration to do it in your own way, is one nice way to be professional aware. But how can we make this path more attractive for other people? I think here is where the role of others starts playing a big part. And this can happen from very early, right? I think you don't need to have a big loss or a tragedy in your life to find motivation, but you do need to have understanding teachers that sees where your drivers are, where your talent lies. Not everybody is able to realize their own talent. Most of the time, 80% of the time, somebody else tells you, hey, you're good at this, why don't you pursue it? It's very difficult to be self-critical. And the role of others is very important in different stages of life. So during very early stages, you see teachers trying to encourage you. Later on, it's lecturers and coaches that inspire you. And finally, once you are a full professional, it's approachable mentors or realistic role models what can give you the energy, the power, or the confidence to think that you also can do it. But I think there's also a component of teamwork where we can work together to realize this. And first of all, both yourself and others, you have to realize that there are no stereotypes. You don't need to look a certain way or come from a certain place to be able to have ambitions in a professional way. We also should embrace societal and technological advances. Nowadays, flexibility at work or remote work can allow a lot of possibilities. And finally, I think it's important to return the favor. So if you've had a difficulty that you could overcome, if you found someone that was inspiring to you, return the favor, let other people see how you did it, and encourage other people in the same way that you have been encouraged. So what's next in science and engineering? What I believe is that once you developed an interest in science and engineering, and once you created a path and you became a professional, it's important to realize how things look like today. So I grew up in a society that told me that women needed to work as if they didn't have kids, or needed to have kids as if they didn't work. Today is completely different. I'm an engineer, my husband is an engineer, and we both have kids living abroad. We both like to have our professional life and take care of it, but we also like to take care of our kids. In our cases, both of us can take one day off a week to spend time with our kids. I, as an entrepreneur, sometimes have to travel and I have to be less available, and my family compensates for that. The same for my husband. We have the same possibilities, the same responsibilities, and it's up to you and your work to find a balance that allows it. And if one of them doesn't match, you still have choices and you still can find another job or a way to deal with it with your family as a partner. And finally, it doesn't need much. It needs a lot from you, and you need to be able to realize that either if you look like a guy fixing an engine, a little girl on the first day of school, or a purple cow, I think Marcus can teach you, even the purple cow, in 3 months to code. It's really up to you, and it's really up to the people that can work you and inspire you and work with you to see what you can achieve. So with this, I'd like to finish, and thank you all for your attention.